He was born and raised Catholic. He wants to abolish the Electoral College. And of course, he's pro-abortion. But Rush Limbaugh dares to suggest there might be something else amiss about Mayor Pete Buttigieg. Plus, the long-awaited apostolic exhortation is here, but after all the Amazonian hoopla, Pope Francis says not one word about women deacons or married priests. Why in the world not? Tonight, from the editor's desk. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Matt coming to you once again from the offices of the Remnant newspaper. Things are getting pretty nuts over there at Camp Democrat lately. And we managed the other night to get some footage of the Democratic frontrunner now outside of the New Hampshire primary just moments before the action started. Check this out.
He'll hear you.
Here he comes now. I'm getting out of here.
John.
Our sources tell us that the young lady was a Trump supporter. Well, obviously, right? So we've got, let's just review a little bit in all seriousness. We've got a really, really scary socialist. Apparently, he's the front runner now, so the Democrats have no problem with that, with socialism. We got the senile Catholic guy.
I was a Democratic caucus. You ever been to a caucus? No, you haven't. You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but you're now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
I don't even know what to say without being accused of making fun of the elderly or whatever, so we're not even going to talk about this guy. And then we got Mayor Pete Buttigieg. What is this guy's name? You know this guy's name? What is his name? Buttigieg, okay. Now, of course, he was born and raised Catholic, and now he thinks that he's married to another man, but nobody's supposed to cite that as a possible political liability anymore in the land of the free and home of the brave. I mean, even over at Fox News, the poor folks there, and I like a lot of the the personalities, evening personalities at Fox. They're Catholic, Laura Ingraham, people like that. I think they're doing a great job, but they're tripping all over themselves, warning us that Mayor Pete is weak on immigration. He wants to abolish the Electoral College. Of course, he's pro-abortion. But nothing about Mayor Pete thinking that he's married to another man. See, those days are gone now. We can't mention that. That's not something you can mention. I'm trying to figure out why. I'm an old guy. Maybe you can help me out, producer lady. I mean, is this homophobia?
Don't you know if you're not gay today, you're pretty much just homophobic. So. Oh,
so if you're not practicing homosexuality yourself, then you're homophobic. Mm-hmm. This is good to know. Good information to have. I mean, because I don't know. I can't really keep. What makes me kind of smile a little bit is that evidently then some pretty progressive and woke people were homophobic just a couple of years ago. I'm thinking of Barack Obama, for example.
I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. With respect to gay marriage, I do not support gay marriage. I believe that marriage is the union between a man and a woman.
Yeah, so I guess another hater, Barack Obama, and Hillary Clinton, she was out there a few years ago, defended marriage like there was no tomorrow.
I believe that marriage is not just a bond, but a sacred bond between a man and a woman going back into the mists of history as one of the foundational institutions of history and humanity and civilization, and that its primary principal role during those millennia has been the raising and socializing of children.
Yep, there goes old homophobic Hillary again, saying that marriage is between one man and one woman. Thank God old Rush Limbaugh, he isn't drinking the Kool-Aid. He had a pretty strong statement. He's in a lot of trouble. The ladies on The View are ready to crucify Limbaugh, even though he's been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer now.
Okay, how's this going to look? 37-year-old gay guy kissing his husband on stage next to Mr. Man Donald Trump. What's going to happen there? And they got to be looking at that, and they've got to be saying that despite all the great progress and despite all the great wokeness and despite all the great ground that's been covered, America's still not ready to elect a gay guy kissing his husband on the debate stage president.
I mean, this country has gone so far down the rabbit hole now. I don't know if it'll ever come out. Again, where's it all heading? I mean, take the Catholic Church down, take Christ out of this, and brace yourselves for persecution in an Orwellian police state lockdown on speech, thought, and religion. That's where things are heading right now if something doesn't change and change really quick. And why is this happening? Because of modernism, friends, because the Catholic Church has been taken out, because Vatican II watered down the liturgy. Vatican II watered down Catholic moral theology. We don't talk about morality anymore. We don't talk about sin. We haven't talked about sin from the pulpit in a long, long time. Does Pope Francis believe in mortal sin? Have you heard him say it? I haven't. Does he even believe in it anymore? I don't know. So what's coming next, after this? We can see the progression. The sexual revolution came in 1969, the Summer of Love, 1969. What else happened in 1969? The Catholic Mass was abolished for all practical purposes by Pope St. Paul VI. A few years later, we had Roe versus Wade, right? We had abortion, legalized abortion. Then we got gay marriage now, then the breakup of the family, the lowering of the age of consent is next. There's no stopping any of this until the Catholic Church is restored, friends. And so this is why, like a broken record down here, we've been saying for years, and over at the Remnant for 50 years at the Remnant newspaper, traditional Catholicism is the answer to literally everything, whether you're a Catholic or not. You take the moral voice of the church out, and this madness is all you can expect. And it's going to get ugly, it's going to get brutal real soon if we don't get serious. If the Vatican doesn't get serious, if all the priests out there don't get serious and bishops get serious, we gotta do something about this. We have to reassert the traditional Catholic moral theology. It's not just the Latin Mass, friends. And again, as far as politics or these politicians, these poor people, we don't even blame Mayor Pete. You see, because he's just another casualty of the whole modernist revolution, you see? He's another casualty of Vatican II. He's another Catholic kid, little kid that I went to school with. He's not that much younger than I am. Another Catholic kid that was abandoned by the modern church. You see? We don't blame him. People say, well, yeah, the Trump administration is pretty weak on LGBT stuff too. Well, yeah, where are they supposed to get the great moral high ground that we used to have as Catholics and even non-Catholics used to have when the church was strong? The church has gone silent. And the reality is Trump's White House has not been lit like this since Obama left the White House. And while he ordered the U.S. Embassy not to display rainbow pride flags during Pride Month, which was a political, upset for him because the LGBT community went after the Trump White House big time over that, Trump is probably not going to be condemning homosexual acts anytime soon. Yes, I understand that. And why do you suppose Trump won't be condemning homosexual acts anytime soon? It's because this guy isn't going to be condemning homosexual acts anytime soon. Now, where is Trump or any other politician in the world supposed to get the idea that they need to take a strong stand against that when the leader of the only moral authority the world has ever truly recognized has sold out on this issue? What are we blaming the politicians for? You want to blame Trump for not making Catholic teaching on homosexuality part of his re-election platform, and you got Francis doing this? And this is the problem with Francis, friends. That's why we're so desperate in trying to resist this guy to his face, because he and his modernist friends are removing the entire moral foundation of Christian society every day a little bit more. You see, because if the Pope doesn't object to homosexual unions enough to even say something against them, why should Donald Trump or anyone else? And this is the case on every moral question, even abortion. The Catholic Church has removed her moral authority from the public square to such an extent that really only a libertarian objection to abortion is permissible anymore, right? You know what I'm talking about. Abortion is a violation of the baby's right to life. It's all we hear. The whole movement is called the Right to Life movement. And of course, I absolutely support the pro-life, the Right to Life movement. But isn't it interesting that anymore nobody's talking about the mortal sin of abortion? Nobody's really attaching the stigma of sin and hellfire and judgment and God's law to abortion, right? Because the Catholic Church, the moral authority of the world, backed away from it. And so did every other Protestant denomination, and so did everybody else finally. Thank you, Vatican II. Well played. See, that's what they did at Vatican II. They hoisted a white flag of surrender. That's what happened. But still, even so, after all these years, Donald Trump is out there sounding more Catholic than the Pope on the question of abortion. Just a few seconds of this will do. Check this out.
All of us here today understand an eternal truth. Every child is a precious and sacred gift from God. Together, we must protect, cherish, and defend the dignity and the sanctity of every human life.
Should you vote for Donald Trump in 2020? Oh, I think maybe you should, because you know what? You're voting for the Christian constituency, for the Christian counter-revolution that he represents, and it's not strong. It's sort of a last-ditch, 11th-hour effort. But there are millions of pro-life, pro-God, pro-family people out there, and Donald Trump decided he's going to stand with them. We're standing with them when we vote for him. Come on, this is basic stuff. You don't have to rack your brains. You don't have to go and get all guilty and scroopy over this. Donald Trump isn't a daily communicant. Donald Trump is divorced. Donald Trump did such and so. Look who hates him. Look at who his enemies are. Look who he's standing with. God bless the man. What ever possessed him to stand with us? It's amazing that he's standing with pro-Christian, pro-life Americans now, to the extent that he is, to the laughter and the derision and the mockery of the entire New World Order. It's pretty fun to watch. You see, Trump is taking up our causes, and that's what we're voting for. There's no qualm of conscience involved in this. It's not the lesser of two evils. The guy is becoming more pro-Christian, more defensive of religious liberty, more pro-life every year. And he's answering to the pro-life constituency now to get reelected, rather than the pro-demon, pro-atheist, pro-sexual addiction, drug-addicted, goofed-up society on the left-hand side of the aisle. You see? You know, Trump is also, at the same time, you see, the folks, the pro-lifers, the pro-God people, handed him that pitchfork that he's using right now, thrusting it into the chest of the New World Order and backing it down the street. That's what's happening. It's not perfect. It's not the ultimate Catholic Christ the King counter-revolution. Please understand me. But Trump is buying, in God's divine providence, Trump is buying time for us. He's buying time for the authentic Catholic Christ the King counter-revolution. If we understand this moment and what our obligation is to do in this brief respite now, this calm before the storm. If Trump wins, bottom line, we got 4 more years to wake up the Catholic Church and, quite frankly, to bury the Church of Vatican II. People say, oh, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Really? You all saw it. You say, well, we can never stop this guy. I know a young guy who took those stupid Pachamama statues. I was just with this guy over in Munich. A great kid, Alexander. He took those things and tossed them in the river, in the Tiber, and he knocked the Vatican back on its heels. What do you mean they're invincible? They're not invincible, these guys. They're eminently beatable. All Francis has is a white robe, a white cassock. That's all he's got. You stand up against that man, that old man who doesn't have any new ideas, that old hippie, and we can back him down, especially if we put ourselves in God's hands and we ask Our Lady to help intercede here and we go to war. We can do this. Not women deacons and married priests, they were only part of the plan. And people misunderstood what we were saying earlier in the week at remnantnewspaper.com. Of course, we were in Rome telling you that it wasn't first and foremost about women deacons and married priests. We made this clear, and here's a bit of video to prove it. What is the real evil of the Amazon Synod? Women deacons? No, I would argue it's not. It's not the women deacons. That's part of it, but that's not the real reason. That's not the real evil of the Amazon Synod. The real evil should now be coming into focus. Our Lady, Queen of Heaven and Earth, Mother of God, was ignored by the princes of the church at the Amazon Synod, while the old pagan goddess that she replaced 500 years ago was ceremoniously carried back into the heart of Christendom, into the Basilica of St. Peter's itself, and blessed by the supposed vicar of Christ on earth. They brought her back. So no doubt of that, no doubt about it. There were multi-levels at the Amazon Synod, what they were trying to do here in terms of revolution. But still, I was right there every day. And I talked to you just about every day during the Synod from the Vatican press office. Remember? press conference day 3. We worried about women deacons. Get ready for women priests. So stay tuned for some more incredible stuff coming out of this press conference. Unbelievable. I heard them say over and over again that the indigenous peoples of the Amazon must have the Eucharist, and to get the Eucharist they needed married priests. Remember?
The Pope already spoke about celibacy and opened the door to this possibility.
Mi viene alla mente una frase di San Paolo VI. Preferisco dare la vita prima di cambiare la legge del celibato. Rimarrebbe qualche possibilità nei posti lontanissimi, penso all'isola del Pacifico.
I heard the testimony of carefully selected, hand-selected nuns from the Amazon telling the world press how women were already hearing confessions. Remember this? I told you, I reported on this. This woman stands there and says, we're already hearing confessions, but we can't give absolution. So we need to have, women, older men must be ordained in order to give absolution in the Amazon, in order to bring the Eucharist to the indigenous people. Do you remember? That's what they were saying. So the whole point and purpose of the Amazon Synod, at least as far as guys like Cardinal Humes, Bishop Kreutler were concerned, was the ordination of women and married priests, right? Again, I was there. I saw Edward Penton talking to this guy Kreutler in the Vatican press hall. I reached over his shoulder and I shot this exchange. You'll remember this, but check it out anyway. But afterwards, in the press hall, after the conference was over, Edward Penton of the National Register asked Bishop Kreutler about not only women deacons, but also women priests.
Is the ordination of women deacons part of a push to ordain women priests in the church?
I guess many of the bishops are in favor of the ordination of female deacons.
But is it part of a push for ordination of women priests in the church? You support that, no? You support it. You support women priests. Is that not true? You support women priests.
I tell you, women now are able to be ordained. Why?
So you support women. You would like to see women ordained priests.
And now Francis comes out a lot longer, months later, and he says not one word about it. Why? Because in his mind, the Amazon Synod was first and foremost all about eco-theology. Remember, we covered this too. Climate change, and of course the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And if he couldn't deliver on that without touching off a civil war over women's ordination and married priests, well, women ordination and married priests would have to be put on the back burner, and that's exactly what's happened. And that's why he's enraged the German Bishops' Conference. He's enraged the New York Times. The National Catholic Reporter folks are going into apoplexy over this. They turned on Francis. So in other words, Francis couldn't get the job done when it came to women priests, women ordination, and married priests. Why? Because of you and because of me. Because of Cardinal Burke. Because of Archbishop Vigano. Because of Bishop Schneider. Because of Cardinal Sarah. Because of Benedict XVI, God bless him, and all the priests, and all the bishops, and all the lay faithful, all around the world, who had the courage to stand up and say no, friends, and that's what I'm begging you to follow me on. We have a moment here to see what can happen when resistance kicks into high gear.
Cardinal Raymond Burke is challenging recent assertions made by the Amazon Synod organizers, saying it is not honest to suggest that the October meeting is treating the question of clerical celibacy for that region alone. If the Synod takes up the question, which I do not think it is right for it to do, it will be treating a discipline of the Universal Church, Cardinal Burke told LifeSite News on June the 19th. In fact, the Cardinal added, already a certain bishop in Germany has announced that if the Holy Father grants a relaxation of the obligation of perfect continence for the clergy in the Amazon region, the bishops of Germany will ask for the same relaxation. His Eminence said that the perfect continence for the clergy most certainly has apostolic origin.
And people say, I don't know what the deal is with the remnant. Why are you defending Cardinal Burke? He never delivered on his formal correction, blah, 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 blah. Well, maybe now you start to see why. Because Cardinal Burke's position was bellowing up and down the Tiber. Everybody knew. Everyone, the world over knows what Cardinal Burke's position is. And men like him or who are allied with him right now. Vigano, Schneider, the rest. You see, they're leading a charge, creating a political risk that Francis can't afford to take. Certainly not after Amoris Laetitia, right? That was his kind of one-and-done thing. We're not going to have that happen again. So Burke's voice, Vigano's voice, your voice, made its way across the Tiber and all throughout the world, friends, and we need to get louder and stronger than ever now. I sat across a table from Archbishop Vigano just last month in Munich, and I asked him, what can we do? What do you want us to do? How can we help? What's the plan of action? And do you know why I asked him that? Because he has a plan of action, and it's working. The Vatican is rattled right now, clearly. And at the same time, the clans are uniting in war, friends. And it's a war that, if God wills it, can be won by faithful Catholics. I don't believe for 1 second that you're watching our program here at Remnant TV just for the fun of it, are you? I mean, this is serious. I believe you want us to do more than be predictable and cliched at a time like this. Oh, Francis is the prophet of Revelation. He's the false prophet. Watch how mad I can get at Pope Francis. I just suspect you need a little more from us, right? You know, I've seen this man close up. I can tell you, Francis, the old geopolitician is losing it. He's losing ground. He's losing support. And we have to do something as traditional Catholics. It's not futile. We have to go on offense. And we told him years ago, we told Francis, we're coming for you. We're coming for you. You're not getting away with this. And that's exactly what we're doing. I'm going out to meet with our allies, with your allies, in Rome, in London, and in Paris in 3 separate trips over the next couple months. It sounds exhausting, because it is. I've seen those cities. I don't need to see them again. I'm tired of traveling. My wife is tired of me traveling. My 7 kids are tired of it. I need to homeschool the kids, right? I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't continue to go back to Rome to meet with these people who are doing great work, including most recently Archbishop Vigano. I wouldn't do this if I weren't absolutely certain and convinced that the Francis Revolution is vulnerable and eminently beatable. Right now, his camp is divided against itself. Of course they're going to try again with women, deacons, and married priests. Of course this isn't the end of it. But faithful Catholic bishops, faithful Catholic priests and laymen, we got in the way of it this time, for the moment. And please God, we're going to get in the way of it again. We are going to get in the way of this agenda the next time, and the time after that, and every time from now on, until God raises up the saint that we're all waiting and praying for. The saint who will come from the hierarchy, who will restore the Catholic Church once and for all. Will it be Vigano, Schneider, Burke? I don't know, but it'll be someone. And that someone needs to know right now that we, the Catholic faithful, have his back and will have his back, and that we are committed to go all the way with him on this. We're not backing down. That's the message that we all need to send to our priests, to our bishops, and yes, to the Pope in Rome. And until then, we need to pray, we need to resist, and of course, we need to unite the clans. And I don't mean just the traditional Latin Mass folks, friends. We have allies right now all across the world who are seeing through this revolution. Many of them don't have access to the Latin Mass. We are not going to cut them off. Some of the most outspoken priests I know are diocesan priests who still have to say both Masses. One of them is a guy we publish on a regular basis at Remnant TV. And they are uniting with us because of the old faith, which is in their hearts still. They're tired of Vatican II. They're sick of it all. They're sick of the new Mass. They're trying to find a way to learn the old and become more and more traditional all the time. And I'm proud to stand with these guys. I'm proud to stand with these priests and their flocks. And with God's help, we're all going to stay united until every Catholic is a traditionalist, until every Mass is back to the traditional Latin Mass of our fathers, and until every Pope is Catholic once again. That's the game plan. That's what Remnant TV is all about. That's what the Remnant newspaper is all about. And this week, friends, there was a victory in the Catholic camp. Enjoy it while it lasts, because it's going to be short-lived. They're going to come back at this. This war is far from over. But thank God, papolatry is dead. There's a stake driven right through the heart of the great impasse, the obstacle for the last 40 years in trying to make people see what was wrong in the church. Papolatry, this virtual worship of the Pope, it's dead, it's gone. Don't come to me now and tell me there's no reason to fight. I remember when I was a little boy and the only Latin Mass we had was in the hotel basements of a few cities around the world. All of a sudden now the traditional Latin Mass is roaring back, right? every city in America, every major city has a traditional Latin Mass. We're not going to lose. God is still in his heaven. The Holy Ghost is still with the church. We just need to do our part, not get discouraged. Have confidence that this is a victory that can be ours with the help of God and the intercession of Our Lady. And many Catholics, from the hierarchy to the pews, are waking up right now, and they're standing up to resist, and we stand with them all. Long live Christ our King. Mary, help of Christians, pray for us who have recourse to you to keep the old faith, now and forever, no matter what happens. I'm Michael Matt for Remnant TV, and we'll see you next week.